Two people can live almost identical lives. Same childhood, same education, same opportunities. They grow up in the same environment, start similar careers, earn almost the same money. From the outside, they look like they're on the exact same path. But fast forward to age 65, and everything is different. One of them wakes up without an alarm. No job, no pressure, no financial stress. They travel when they want, spend time with family, help their kids financially. Money is no longer a concern. The other, still working, still worrying, still checking bank accounts before making small decisions. They think twice before buying things, delay retirement, and quietly carry stress every single day. Same life, completely different ending. And the difference? It didn't come from luck. It didn't come from intelligence. It came from one decade. Your 40s, the illusion most people believe their financial future is decided early. In their 20s, when they pick a career, or in their 30s, when they start earning more. But that's not how it actually works. In your 20s, you don't have money. You're learning, experimenting, making mistakes. In your 30s, life is chaotic. You're building a career, starting a family, taking on responsibilities. But your 40s, this is where everything becomes real. Because for the first time in your life, you have stability, income, control. And what you do with that control determines everything that comes next. Why your 40s are the most important. There's a reason this decade matters so much. It's not random, it's mathematical. Your 40s sit at a rare intersection of three forces, and this combination only exists for a short period of time. 1. Your income peaks. You're no longer starting out. You've built experience, skills, credibility. This is when most people earn the highest income of their lives. Not just small raises, but real money. For the first time, you actually have the ability to build wealth. 2. Time still matters. At 40, you still have around 20 to 25 years before retirement. That's not just time, that's opportunity. Because money invested now doesn't just grow, it multiplies. A dollar invested at 40 can become $3 or $4 later. But if you wait until 50, now you've lost the most powerful years, and that same dollar barely doubles. Time is doing most of the work. And in your 40s, you still have enough of it. 3. Your expenses stop exploding. In your 20s and 30s, everything keeps increasing. Rent or mortgage, lifestyle, kids, responsibilities. But in your 40s, things slow down. And that creates something most people ignore. Financial breathing room, extra income, extra capacity, extra opportunity. And this is where everything splits, the split. Because now, you're standing at a fork in the road. You have more money than ever, enough time for growth, less pressure from rising expenses. So what do most people do? They upgrade their life. A bigger house, a nicer car, better vacations, more comfort, and none of it feels wrong. In fact, it feels like success. But here's the part nobody tells you. This is exactly where people lose, because the same money that could build your future gets consumed by your present. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. And by the time you notice, it's too late. The reality check. Let's make this simple. Two people reach age 40, same income, same potential, same starting point. Person A keeps lifestyle stable, invests consistently, focuses on the future. Person B upgrades lifestyle, spends more, delays investing. At 50, they don't look that different. Both seem fine. But by 65, person A, financial freedom. Person B, financial pressure. And here's the truth that hits hardest. You can't fix this later because you lost time, and time was doing most of the work. The 5 decisions that secretly control everything. These decisions don't feel big in the moment, but they shape your entire future. 1. The house decision. This is the biggest one. Upgrading your home feels natural. You want more space, better location, a nicer lifestyle. But what you don't see is this. Every extra dollar in housing is a dollar not invested. Over 20 plus years, that difference can become enormous. You're not just buying a house, you're choosing between comfort now or freedom later. 2. The car decision. Cars are emotional. They represent success. But financially, they're one of the worst investments. They lose value, cost more over time, repeat every few years, and quietly, they drain your future. 3. Lifestyle inflation. This is the most dangerous one because it feels invisible. You earn more, so your life expands. Better food, better travel, better everything. And slowly, you reach a point where you earn a lot, but save nothing. 4. Playing it safe. Your 40s are your last window to increase income, take career risks, level up financially, but most people don't. They stay comfortable, and that comfort limits everything that comes after. 5. Prioritizing everything except yourself. Many people in their 40s spend on kids, support others, delay their own future. It feels right. But financially, it's dangerous. The psychological trap. This is where most people lose. Not because they don't understand money, but because they feel something. I've worked hard. I deserve this. And that feeling is completely valid. But here's the truth. What feels like a reward can become a trap. Because the pleasure is temporary. The new house becomes normal. The car becomes expected. But the cost, that stays forever. The real difference. People who win financially don't earn dramatically more. They just make better decisions during this decade. And those decisions compound. Just like money, the part most people realize too late. Here's the part most people don't realize until it's too late. Your 40s don't feel like a critical decade. They feel like a stable one. You're no longer struggling like your 20s. You're no longer overwhelmed like your 30s. Everything feels fine. And that's exactly the problem. Because when things feel fine, you stop paying attention. You stop questioning your decisions. You stop thinking long-term. You start living on autopilot. And autopilot is where most people lose. Not through big mistakes, but through small repeated choices. Spending a little more, saving a little less, delaying just one more year. None of these feel dangerous, but over time, they compound. Just like money does. The invisible trade you're making. Every financial decision in your 40s is a trade, even if it doesn't feel like one. When you upgrade your house, you're not just increasing comfort, you're reducing future freedom. When you increase your lifestyle, you're not just enjoying life more, you're increasing the cost of your future. When you delay investing, you're shrinking what your money could become. These trades are invisible because the cost doesn't show up immediately. It shows up later, quietly, when your options are limited, when your time is short, when your flexibility is gone. Why people still choose wrong? So why do people still make these choices? Even when they know better? Because the rewards are immediate and the consequences are delayed. You feel the upgrade today, you don't feel the loss until decades later. And humans are wired to choose now over later. That's why this decade is so dangerous, not because it's hard, but because it's easy to get wrong. The turning point moment. At some point, usually in their late 40s or early 50s, people start to realize something. They check their savings, they look at their future, they do the math, and for the first time, it doesn't feel enough. That's when the panic starts. They try to save more, invest more, catch up. But the problem is, they're trying to replace time. And time can't be replaced. The people who get it right, the people who win this decade, don't feel smarter. They don't feel richer. In fact, during their 40s, they often feel behind. They say no more often. They spend less than their peers. They question decisions others don't. From the outside, it doesn't look impressive. But what they're actually doing is this. They're buying their future freedom quietly, consistently, without attention. And later, that decision changes everything. The real cost of waiting, most people think, I'll take this seriously later. But later is more expensive. Every year you wait, you need to invest more. You get less time. You have fewer options. And slowly, your future becomes harder to fix. The one shift that changes everything. You don't need a perfect strategy. You don't need extreme discipline. You just need one shift. Stop thinking short-term comfort. Start thinking long-term freedom. Every decision becomes clear after that. Now we transition into your ending, the part no one talks about. There's something strange about your 40s. Nothing feels urgent. You're not broke anymore. You're not struggling every day. You're not chasing survival like before, but you're also not free. You're in the middle. And the middle is where people stop thinking. Because when things are bad, you react. When things are great, you're aware. But when things are fine, you drift. And drifting is dangerous because your life starts running on autopilot. You wake up, go to work, spend money, repeat. No big mistakes, but no big progress either. And this is how people lose decades without realizing it. How a decade disappears. Your 40s don't feel like 10 years. They feel like 2 or 3 because nothing dramatic happens. No big changes, no major resets, no clear warnings, just routine. And one day, you look up and you're 50, and that's when something shifts. The moment people wake up, it usually happens quietly. You check your savings, maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of concern. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like enough. Not terrible, but not safe either. You start doing rough calculations. Retirement, expenses, future costs, and suddenly, you feel something you didn't expect. Pressure. Because now, time feels different. At 35, you had time. At 40, you still had time. But at 50, time feels limited. The realization that hits hard. This is when the truth becomes clear. The decisions you thought were small weren't small. That slightly bigger house, that nicer car, those extra vacations, they added up. Not just in money, but in lost time. And that's the part most people miss. It's not just about how much you spent. It's about what that money could have become. Because every dollar you didn't invest wasn't just a dollar lost. It was $3, $4, sometimes even more. Gone. Why catching up feels so hard? So people try to fix it. They start saving aggressively. They cut expenses. They take things seriously. But something feels off. Because no matter how much they try, it still feels like they're behind. And they are. Not because they didn't try hard enough, but because they're fighting something invisible. Time. And time doesn't negotiate. You can earn more money. You can cut spending. You can change strategy. But you can't go back. The silent regret. This is the part people don't talk about. It's not loud. It's not obvious. It's quiet. It shows up in small moments, when you hesitate before spending, when you delay plans, when you feel uncertain about the future. It's not panic. It's something else. A subtle realization that things could have been different, and that feeling stays. The two paths. Now here's what makes this even more powerful. During their 40s, both types of people feel almost the same. The person who spends more feels good. The person who saves more feels restricted. If you look at them from the outside, you'd think the spender is winning. Better house, better lifestyle, more visible success. But that's only temporary. Because fast forward 20 years, everything flips. The person who saved now has freedom. The person who spent now has pressure. Same decade, opposite outcomes. What most people never realize. Here's the truth that almost nobody sees clearly. Your 40s are not about improving your lifestyle. They're about locking in your future. And those are two very different goals. Because improving your lifestyle feels good now, but locking in your future feels boring, feels slow, feels invisible. And that's why most people choose wrong. The decisions that feel small, but aren't. In your 40s, nothing feels extreme. You're not making crazy choices. You're making reasonable ones. A slightly better home, a slightly nicer car, a slightly higher lifestyle. But here's the problem. Slightly more, repeated for 10 years, becomes massively more, and that difference defines your future. The final shift before it's too late. At some point, you have to decide what you actually want. Not what looks good, not what feels good today, but what actually matters. Because you can optimize for both. Maximum comfort now, maximum freedom later. There's always a trade. The people who win understand that early. The people who struggle realize it late. Picture yourself at 70. One version of you is calm, no stress, no financial fear, complete freedom. The other version? Still thinking about money, still worried, still limited. Same life, different outcomes? They were decided decades earlier. In your 40s will pass no matter what. The only question is, what will you do with them? If this changed how you think about money, hit subscribe for more videos like this. Leave a like if you found it valuable. And tell me in the comments, what's one decision you'll change after watching this?